Hey guys, this is Wanyan with Heroes World, bringing you a deck tech for the new Card Fight Vanguard Trial Deck 12 called Dimensional Brave Kaiser. This deck provides more support for an older clan called Dimension Police, specifically the Dimensional Robo archetype. The archetype itself has been developed throughout older sets from 1 through 8 really, because the most recent one that had Dimensional Robos in it was the BTO8, and the boss for that set with respect to Dimensional Robos was this guy, Ultimate Dimensional Robo Great Daiyusha. At the time, people who ran this deck, including myself, had ran into some consistency issues in order to get his ability to go off, which required a certain number of Dimensional Robos into the soul. And at the time, there just simply wasn't enough Dimensional Robo cards to let that happen all the time. But now with the new deck, that shouldn't be a problem anymore. But enough with Great Daiyusha. He's not part of this deck, but this is just to tell you one of the reasons why this deck is quite important, or at least to me and other Dimension Police Daiyusha players. So let's talk about the boss himself, this guy, Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser. He's the brake ride for Dimension Police, not limited to Dimensional Robos, which is good. His ability is when he gets brake ridden, you counterblast 1. Your Vanguard gets plus 10,000 power and 1 crit, and the ability to retire any cards in the Guardian Circle when you drive check a grade 3. So any perfect guards or any shields that get put down during the Guardian or during the blocking phase can get retired when you drive check a grade 3. So he's kind of like a Ashley on steroids, because the ability is similar, but at a cost. At the same time, he also has a much more devastating ability, because he can retire stuff from the Guardian Circle. So let's just talk about some of the other things about the deck, starting with none other than the starter itself. This guy, Dimensional Robo Goyusha. He's not special in the sense that he is from an older set, BTO8, but he is the first starter in any trial deck to have the Forerunner ability, which gives you an instant booster when you ride a grade 1. In addition to that, he has an ability that lends itself very well to the deck itself, and his ability is choosing 4 of your rear guards with Dimensional Robo in its name, and then putting into the soul. And if you have a grade 2 or greater Vanguard with Dimensional Robo in its name, search your deck for grade 3 with Dimensional Robo in its name and ride it. Specifically, you can either ride Daikaiser, or you can ride this guy, Super Dimensional Robo Daiyusha. Daiyusha is a grade 3 10k body with the ability to do an additional crit that if you have 14,000 power or more before the attack step. Now you're probably wondering how you would get that to activate consistently. Lucky that there are several cards in the deck that allow you to do that. The first one is this one, Dimensional Robo Daidriller. He's a grade 2 8k unit whose ability only works in rearguard position. When he comes into play, you counterblast 1 and you give Dimensional Robo any other Dimensional Robo plus 4,000. The next card that lets you do that is this guy, Electro-star combination Cosmogreat. He's a grade 3 10k body, and when he comes into play, it's counterblast 2 to give any other unit plus 4,000 power. So he's not limited to only giving a Dimensional Robo plus 4,000 power, but his counterblast is a little bit more expensive at 2. The third card that allows you to proc Daiyusha is this card, Dimensional Robo Kaizard. He's a grade 2 9k unit who works like a mini brake ride. such that when you ride a unit over him, the new unit gets plus 5,000 power. So you have 3 ways, or technically 4 ways, including the Break Ride, to proc Daiyusha's ability. Now let's talk about some of the strengths of the deck. The strength of the deck is that it has high offensive capabilities from all the built-in crits, from all the crits available left, right, and center. It's a very strong center line, which is the core theme of Dimension Police. And due to the Break Ride itself, he provides some mind games for the opponent. So your opponent needs to think. He needs to think, will you drive check a grade 3? So in addition to a perfect guard, should I put any additional shield just in case if you do? Now, some of the weaknesses in the deck is that it's relatively weak in defense. If you do ride Daiyusha over the Daikaiser, then he is ultimately a 10k body, and he's very susceptible to being bullied by basically anyone in the game now. And because he's a 10k, if you happen to have him in a empty column, or he's just standing by himself without support, in most cases he won't be able to attack the Vanguard, because Vanguards nowadays are at least 11k, and with the new stuff that's going to come out, it's going to be 13k again. In addition to this, there are some cards in the deck that are vanilla, if they're not in the soul, specifically Dimensional Robo Daimariner and this one, Dimensional Robo Daibrave. For their ability to work, they actually have to activate from the soul itself. So either you ride it, or you use Goyusha to put them in the soul, which is, of course, a hefty cost. And it's not necessarily something that you can recuperate back further down the line. So one of the tactics in the deck itself is, if you're at limit break 4, you keep them at 3, and then you break ride and hopefully deal 3 damage. 3 damage from the break ride skill, and then 2 more damage from Daiyusha's ability. 1 from the damage itself, and then 1 from the ability that it grants. So if they don't have a perfect guard, or they don't have enough guard, then if they're at 3, they take 3 damage. Hopefully they don't get a heal, then they lose the game. So all in all, the deck itself is quite fun. This is not because I play the clan itself, but compared to the other decks, it's not very cookie cutter. The card support in the deck is very centric to the theme of Dimension Police, which is buffing other characters. So if you want to check out the deck, go to your local store, or if you're in the Markham area, you can come by Heroes World and pick it up. It's being released March 14th, 2014, and who knows, maybe we'll see some more Dimension Police players in the future. Alright, thanks guys. See you guys next time.